Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As usual, we have a jam-packed, super dynamic presentation for you. We'll do our best to keep it under 1 hour. Happy to answer any questions you have along the way, so please feel free to use that chat box as you did. Thanks again for letting us know that you could hear the audio okay. So here we are, Indianapolis, and here we go. Not sure if anyone's ever heard of Indy referred to as Circle City, but it's an interesting story. This is it. This is Monument Circle. Soon to be Salesforce Circle, I hear. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Christopher, are you there?
We are. Sarah and I are both here for you, Patrick.
That's awesome. Did I understand that you're right in Monument Circle as we speak?
We're overlooking at it. If you look at the behind the little white building, my building is 2 buildings back.
That's awesome. Yeah, interesting story. So I guess Indy is a planned city. The plan is known as Mile Square, and it is bounded by east, west, north, and south streets, all centered on this traffic circle, hence Circle City. So my name is Patrick Prunty. My pleasure to be with you guys tonight. I'll be speaking the least tonight, as you all want to hear from the parties here we're all here for. So the bottom line, folks, is that you're all with us because you're interested in real estate, you're interested in Indianapolis and Marshall Reddick. Furthermore, if you haven't already, you're trying to determine how Marshall Reddick and our resources can help you. It's our overriding goal tonight to open the door, make friends, build relationships, add value, and show you how you can leverage our experience and our team to help you accomplish your investment goals. With me tonight, Daniel Oshnick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And of course, as you just heard from, Christopher Haven-Jones.
Good evening.
His assistant, Sarah.
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us. We know it's late for y'all. But like I said, jam-packed presentation.
We're excited to be here, Patrick.
We're glad to have you. Always a good time, Christopher. So moving along, jam-packed presentation, like I said. Well, one of the things I wanted to impress upon everybody listening tonight, we've got a great turnout, is that we offer a full spectrum. And what I mean by that is several programs for you guys to choose from. One of the things we're promoting tonight is our Rent Ready system. And this would be a system wherein Marshall Reddick actually buys the properties, renovates the properties, works with property management to get them tenant occupied, and then sells them to those folks who want a passive, hands-off experience. Additionally, we, once in a while, will offer a wholesale. So this would be something that's a little bit more hands-on. In essence, Marshall Reddick would still buy the property, and we would sell it to somebody who prefers to have the rehab done on their own, who prefers the sweat equity, and is looking for a little bit more hands-on investment to perhaps get a little better equity position on the purchase. Additionally, we have the standard third-party sale. This would be your multiple listing service, and we're glad to help you buy or sell Indianapolis assets. In either case, Christopher would be involved. He and Sarah both, right? Local representation for you guys so that you get the best of the best. We like interaction from the crowd, so we're going to get started here with a poll question. Let me get that launched, and we'll get some feedback from. So you should see the poll now. And the question is, which of the following programs we just discussed at this point in time most interests you? Would that be the rent ready, the wholesale, or the traditional sense of buy? Again, appreciate the feedback, helps us, and we're going to publish those results here shortly. Great, so we're getting a good turnout. We've got a little more than 75% of you have voted. Get a couple more seconds and we'll move on. Okay, close the poll. and share the results. So it looks like actually we've got some pretty solid interest in the Rent Ready program. That's awesome. We don't do too much wholesaling, but let me encourage you folks as well to also take a hard look at what's coming available on the market. I know before we got started, we was having a conversation with Christopher and Sarah, and as we progress through this, they're going to give you a tip on a unicorn that just came on the market. You might want to take a look at that. Again, thank you for responding, and we'll continue on. So again, back to Monument Circle, and myself, as a very data-driven real estate investor, I like to look at the hard numbers. And obviously, the historical sales data is one of those numbers I look to. So we subscribe to the National Association of Realtors, and on the screen now you've got roughly 30 years of the median single-family home sales price. As you can see, steadily increasing. The most recent data that's out is for Q3 2018. This is a preliminary number, but 188.9. Obviously some substantial appreciation. That's 8.8% year over year. The good news for Indianapolis real estate investors, prices are on the rise. I like to look at it in graph form as well, and specifically because Indianapolis is one of those steady Eddie markets. You're not going to get the boom and bust, peaks and valleys in a graph like this as you would in a market such as California or Nevada or Arizona or Florida. And the overriding factor to glean from this is that over 30 years or an extended period of time, you should expect, based on historical appreciation, about 2.15% on average. Okay, so it's something where you stick with it, you buy and hold, and you collect and build wealth over time. I'm going to get off the mic now. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Daniel Oshnick, who is going to take us further.
Patrick, thank you so much for the introduction. And Marshall Reddick investors, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really excited to be here. I had the pleasure of speaking with a large majority of you today and yesterday as well, as I was calling out, and really excited to speak with you certainly after this webinar as well. I work directly with clients in evaluating markets such as Indianapolis and evaluating investments within those markets to help find the right investment for your specific criteria and goals. And part of that has to do with introducing you to the right people, your team in real estate investing, members of your team like Christopher and like Sarah. I know we have a lot of new faces on the webinar tonight too. And so I just want to spend a little bit of time going over exactly what we do here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate. Here you're going to see our homepage. Our website goes hand in hand with evaluating markets and investment opportunities. And up top, you'll notice all of our services, starting with the Invest tab. Tonight, we're talking specifically about tangible real estate. And if you click on that Properties tab, you'll see all of the properties available in all of our markets. And you can actually sort our properties on our website based on your specific criteria. And one aspect of your criteria will certainly be the Indianapolis market. Briefly, I want to point out our Reddick property rating ebook. Goes hand in hand with evaluating property on our website and will help in choosing the best real estate investments for your specific criteria.
Yeah, it's a very short writing, but it's going to help you understand specifically how we classify our properties. For example, you'll see right there to the left side of the screen that B in green underneath the listing of the areas we operate in. Read that Reddick property rating and learn about how we do that, because we actually have a math formula that dives down and substantiates that.
Another important aspect in investing is financing, how you're going to acquire the property. And right there, this is actually a new tab on our website, recently launched. It's the Borrow tab. And clicking on that button there, Apply for a Loan, will get you connected to the loan officer for the loan most applicable for you. And finally, property management, the X factor in real estate investing. And Marshall Reddick Real Estate provides property management in the markets that we're in. We have brick and mortar offices in 3 of those, soon to be many more. One really helpful aspect of our website, under the Services tab, under Property Management, you'll be able to see the fee structure for the property management services in every market that we're in. And one thing to note is that the fee structure of the property management for any market is already built into our financial calculators on our website that you can utilize when evaluating property. We have an incredible amount of education and resources on our website as well. We have free events, including these webinars and in-person events. And like I had mentioned, I really want to get to know more about each and every one of your specific investment goals, quantify them, and one way to do so is simply hover over the Learn tab and click on Connect with an Advisor so we can start that dialogue. A little bit about what we're going to be covering tonight. First and foremost, the metrics that we've used to evaluate the Indianapolis Metro and specifics regarding the Indianapolis Metro and what makes it a phenomenal place to invest. Equally as important to where you're investing is who you are working with when you are investing. Real estate investing is all about relationships, and the greatest value add that we have here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate is our relationships with knowledgeable, experienced individuals like Christopher. Property management, like I said, the X factor, and one very key component, we only work with incredibly experienced property managers who already manage large portfolios of Marshall Reddick clients' properties. We're definitely going to talk about the rent-ready system that we have in place, and 2 other very important aspects of the real estate investing team, your lender or financing and your insurance agent. And then we're going to go over various hand-selected properties, both standard sales and rent-ready properties. What is a rent-ready property and how does it differ from a standard sale? It's right there on your screen. The goal of a rent-ready property is to provide our clients with a controlled inventory of rent-ready homes located in good neighborhoods with properly screened tenants and trusted property management in place before the close of escrow. But the only way we're able to provide these types of properties that cash flow from day one are because of the relationships that we have in place in a market like Indianapolis. Again, with individuals like Christopher and Sarah, and with our preferred property managers, and everyone that is on our Indianapolis team. I mentioned that real estate investing really is a team sport, and here's a breakdown of everyone required for a smooth transaction and a most profitable investment in us here at Marshall Reddick, myself as your advisor, Patrick as your lender, and then getting you connected with Christopher to talk about specific neighborhoods within the market, specific investment opportunities, getting you connected with Mike Taylor at Red Door Property Management, and certainly if you're financing conventionally, then with Reed Hazard at AmeriFirst, or Stan Dreckman at Huggins Dreckman Insurance.
And the bottom line, folks, is that all of these people are not created equal, right? There's a lot of fake Marshall Reddicks. There's a lot of fake Christopher Haven Joneses out there, right? All real estate agents are not equal. All property managers are not equal. Lenders and insurance goes the same. You need to work with people that know what they're doing, that know how to work with investors, and in the speed in that which investors need to operate, right? So again, leverage our experience and our team.
So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Christopher Haven Jones. Our regional rep works directly with Marshall Reddick clients in the Indianapolis metro. Great friend of mine and incredibly knowledgeable professional realtor. So with that, I'll let you take it from there, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that incredible introduction, and thank you, Patrick, for inviting me on to the webinar. My name is Christopher, and I am the founder and the team lead for the Jones team. I have a buyer's agent with me, Sarah Van Bachman, who will be discussing some properties here in just a moment. There she is. And we both grew up here in the Indianapolis area. I have been a real estate broker for the last 13 years, but I spent the majority of my life right here in Indy. So I do know all of the areas that we'll be discussing this evening, and then many more where the properties are starting to emerge as potential candidates and good prospects for the investor. So if we move forward, I want to start talking about my city because I get very, very excited. So if I start speaking too fast, Daniel or Patrick, please just hit the throttle and I will slow down. But Indiana is right there in the middle of the Midwest. We're actually nicknamed the Crossroads of America because if we go back one more slide, we'll be able to see that we're driving distance from major metropolitans. If you look to the east, we are 3 hours from Cincinnati, Ohio. To the south, we are the same distance to Louisville, Kentucky. And then a little bit further on to Nashville, we've got Chicago 3 hours. We've got Detroit 3 hours to the north. So we really are centered in the middle of the Midwest, which is important to a lot of the people who will be renting homes for you because many of them are coming here into the city to take new jobs, but they also want to feel connected to larger metropolitans, and also many times we're sourcing these candidates that become your tenants from these cities. So moving forward in the presentation, this is where we are right there in Indianapolis. The circle that Patrick showed at first, that's actually the geographical center point of all of Indiana. And there is a huge story about the governor and why that became a Circle City. And if you work with me and you give me a call, I'll take some time with that one. But we're trying to keep things compact, and I'm a rambler. But we are also, if you look at the ring of 465, that's our interstate. We call the counties around Indianapolis, which is Marion County, the donut counties. And to our north, where you see Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Zionsville, and Noblesville, that's Hamilton Southeastern. That was the first gold standard in the Indianapolis area for breakout investors on these properties. We had millions upon millions of dollars go into the school system, which then launched it to nationwide and then international attention for really turning those areas around and creating achievements and becoming the most desirable place to live in all of the United States. And what we're seeing to the south, exactly opposite, where you see Southport at the very bottom of that slide, that township is Franklin Township, and the money is starting to flow in there, and the development is starting to mirror what we saw in the Northeast. Now, those are fantastic properties if you can get into them at a good price point, but I will tell you, when you see them pop up, we see them vanish quickly. I personally have listed 4 properties in this last 4 weeks in the Hamilton Southeastern network, and I sold them all within a matter of hours, not days, hours. So if Sarah and I call you about one of those properties, we're going to help you prepare to make the decision lightning fast. Now, if you look to the east and to the west, which we'll see Cumberland and we'll see Claremont and Speedway, those areas are what we call the workhorses, and Sarah will elaborate on that, but it is solid properties. They're very well constructed. It's a lot of blue collar, middle management, people that are in family transition, people that need to rent and they want to be in a home. They're tired of the apartment experience, or maybe, like I said, family transition. You know, their misfortune can be your opportunity, and it's a good thing you're doing by giving them a place that they can make their new home. So that's a little bit about the areas that we focus on. Those are the 4 main areas that Sarah and I focus on searches for the investors that come to us through Marshall Reddick. So if we move forward in the slide, we can take a look at some of our numbers, and these are they're all pretty solid. Everything's growing. All these next slides are to show you that Indianapolis is no longer nicknamed India No Place. We're growing and we're setting national standards, and we're attracting huge businesses. As you see, our population is all the way up in 2 million. We're just in Marion County. We're at 900,000, it's a large number, and it's the 16th in the U.S. And so you can see the comparison to Los Angeles and Metro in the United States. They seem to have covered everything with the age, the household income. We're all very, very compatible. And the median sale price versus makes Indianapolis very, very affordable, and it creates an opportunity for investors to enter the market in a safe, manageable way that they can then use those proceeds from their initial investments to really jumpstart their portfolio. And so moving forward, these are an example of our top industries. Healthcare, pharma. I'm sure everybody's heard of Eli Lilly. They develop just about everything. They're an international company, but their home base is here in India. This is where they started. We have a large segment of blue collar manufacturing. We really work hard to, as a city and as a state, to give people gainful employment so that they can work toward home ownership. And part of that is getting a taste of what that would be like by the first step of renting a home, coming out of the apartment, going into a home, and realizing, you know, this might be something that I could purchase. And who knows, that renter today could turn and convert into the person who buys your asset, freeing up your equity to make your next move. And of course, we have technology. Salesforce is down here. We have a Raytheon presence. We have Duke presence, which is constructions. And then of course, we are renowned for a lot of our medical research. IU Health Hospital is cutting edge on many areas in the medical fields. And what that means to you is that we've worked hard to acquire programs that will attract the top talent in the world, but they're not necessarily going to be here in Indianapolis permanently. So it doesn't make sense for them financially to invest in a purchase, but at the same time, they also need a place to call home, which ultimately you will be providing with the homes that Sarah and I present to you. That's what we're looking for, is what homes can you buy and rent to, one, create a revenue stream for yourself, but then for us to create an environment that keeps this talent in Indianapolis and continues to help grow our state and our city. So we are personally invested in making sure that your purchases are smart and that we develop a symbiotic relationship so that we can all grow together. So moving forward.
Thank you so much, Christopher.
And I was about to say, man, I hand this off to Daniel, who's much better at the math. And take it away, Daniel.
One thing that may come to mind when thinking of Indianapolis from an investment standpoint is cash flow. And the information Christopher just provided, super valuable information, and proves pretty evidently that Indianapolis is a sustainable growing market. But why does it provide cash flow from a number sense? Well, it has to do with the price to rent ratio. And if you take a look at your screen, the formula for price to rent ratio is simply the price of the home divided by the gross annual rent that you receive from the property. Now, what does that tell us? Well, the lower your price to rent ratio, the higher your cash on cash return. In other words, the lower that number, that price to rent ratio, the more cash you're receiving versus what you paid for the home. Now, look at the price to rent ratios across the board towards the bottom of your screen. You'll see in LA, and I know a lot of our investors on the call tonight are in LA, we're all the way at over 30 because of where our median home price is. You'll see that the US average has a price to rent ratio of about 19, but in Indy, it's all the way down to 15, meaning we're paying less for more annual rent.
Yeah, it's super important ratio when thinking about investing, and it certainly makes Indianapolis very attractive from a business standpoint, right? Because rental property ownership is a business. Another one that comes to mind is the price to income ratio, right? And on the surface level, this might not necessarily seem applicable to an investor, right? Because it might make the affordability for locals to buy more homes. But the bottom line is that the affordability is what's driving the population growth as younger generations are departing the most expensive, mostly coastal metro areas. And one cool thing I thought when I was researching and putting this PowerPoint together is that a historic rule of thumb under healthy economic conditions is the cost of your home should equal roughly 2.6 years of income. I mean, if that's true, then we're crazy here in California, right? Because as you can see down there at the bottom, as I'm comparing them again, in LA Metro, right, we're at 8.35, whereas Indy is more closely related to that historical rule of thumb, right? So again, math formula on the screen so that you understand how this number was derived. And of course, sources are very important to us. So we always are citing our sources, as you can see there on the bottom. I also wanted to point out that we are happy to provide the slides for the presentation. Just shoot Daniel an email, right? And he'll send those right over. We're also having the call tonight recorded, and you will get a recording in your email the following day. Christopher talked earlier about the manufacturing base and also the education base. And then if you recall, one of the fourth listed on the industries was tech. And there's this crazy dynamic happening in Indianapolis that's revolving around tech, right? And those of you who are familiar with California or from California, you understand what has happened in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? And so Brookings agrees with that. And the bottom line is that Indianapolis is benefiting from that strong array of higher education, right? And it's that manufacturing workforce base that they have that is taking over what's called mid-tech jobs. So these are computer and mathematics jobs requiring less than a college degree. And it's like the perfect storm in Indy between that manufacturing base and the higher education that is offered by Indy that is just driving jobs to the area. So this is all over the news, and you should be checking it out. So I've got a little statistic here on the mid-tech jobs by city. And of course, Indy being in the top 5, of course, behind the San Jose, Silicon Valley, but some other areas in the Midwest, driven by a low cost of employment, low cost of rental for office space, etc. So bottom line is that this huge names. Christopher mentioned Salesforce now signed a huge deal in Monument Square. I think there's a tower called Salesforce Tower now. And so a couple of years ago, they bought Exact Target, right? Exact Target was an Indianapolis-based firm that provided marketing automation and analytics software, right? Huge purchase, right? There was another one, Genesis, which another California company, tech company similar to Salesforce, right? Bought Interactive Intelligence, yet another Indianapolis firm that provided customer engagement and collaboration software. So when this happens, these big anchors go into a city like this, it spawns startups. And then what happens when there's startups and intelligent people creating things? It brings in venture capital, right? So again, all this perfect storm that's happening in Indianapolis, you need to, as an investor, understand this and get in on the front end. I'm not going to spend any time on this, but again, it's about citing the sources that we use to put this together and understanding that tech boom that I'm talking about. A couple of articles that I would like to point out. First, this one from Colliers, who is a large commercial services firm that talks a lot about the office space and what's happening in Indianapolis with those firms. I encourage you to read it. I also encourage, I found this one very exciting. It's from ZipRecruiter, right? If you haven't heard of ZipRecruiter, it's a job search engine, one of the larger ones, that recently ranked Indianapolis as the #6 up-and-coming city for tech jobs. Think about job search engines like ZipRecruiter. Those businesses are like huge in terms of data on where jobs are going. So when somebody like this says something, I'm listening. Christopher, you want to come back up and tell us a little bit about property management and your relationships?
Absolutely. One of the most important things in your relationships with your investments and your portfolio is going to be your property manager. Many times investors have made the joke that they're dating me, but they marry the property manager. So it's very, very important that one, the deal is good for you. Two, you're able to communicate and have open lines of communication with your property management. They've got good systems so that you always know what's going on with your assets, because while you're thousands of miles away, this is your property, and ultimately you need to know what's happening. So I spent the first 6 to 7 weeks when I came on with Marshall Reddick, sourcing out new property managers and finding the top of the pile and really developing personal relationships with them. And our #1 referral is Red Door Property Management, and they've been in the city for a long time. And actually, Mike Taylor, if you want to move forward, he's the owner and the proprietor. He is a San Diego boy. He grew up in San Diego, and he came out here with his wife, and I think he's had no fewer than 37 children. They're just always around. But he runs a good business. He's got a good shop, and he really takes care of your interests and makes sure that you understand, and he keeps developing systems and investing in technology to keep you up to date with what you're going. Now, that being said, Mike is a buddy of mine. I've got a great relationship. This is his website. If you go to reddoorpropertymanagement.com, you will see this is an example of where he is right now as far as his website development, his tech development. But that being said, not everybody's a match for everybody. And so we do have other property managers that I have identified as people that I would trust, and then I would put my endorsement on. And if you ever need that list, you feel free to call me. That's the fastest way. I tend to just kind of glance over email. I'm a little bit old-fashioned. I prefer to chat and to talk to people so I can identify what their needs are and really work to make sure that the team member that I endorse is somebody who is going to work with you, and you can find strong compatibility, because ideally you're going to be with them for a long time.
Awesome. Christopher, thank you for being on the call tonight.
I do. I need to excuse myself. I'm going to leave you in good hands with my buyer's agent. She's a broker named Sarah. Like I said before, she's fantastic. She specializes in the acquisition process, and so a lot of times after I write the contracts with you, Sarah will take you from contract to close. But I need to go do some work, actually for some Marshall Reddick folks right now. Have a good rest of the call, and I hope to talk to all of you soon.
Great, thank you. And Daniel, you finish up in terms of Red Door?
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see here is a fee structure, Red Door's fee structure, discounted specifically for Marshall Reddick clients. I can say that it is incredibly reasonable within the real estate industry, especially for the service they provide. You just saw a snapshot of their website, and that's one key aspect of the companies we work with for property management, utilizing technology and providing a great service to their owners, but also making it user-friendly for tenants. And here's just a quick snapshot of that fee structure. One thing to point out, no upcharge on maintenance, incredibly important in your bottom line, and making sure that you're collecting as much of your income in the form of cash flow as possible.
Yeah, and a comment to what Daniel said, that these being affordable fees, I'm not 100% sure, but almost positive that a non-Marshall Reddick client pays a $75 leasing fee, or excuse me, a 75% of 1 month's rent leasing fee and 10% of the rents collected. Now, and even those are reasonable because we're seeing more and more in the industry, property managers moving to a leasing fee equal to 1 month's rent, right? So take advantage of, again, the relationships.
One thing that I really like that they provide at Red Door Property Management are video inspection, and especially beneficial for you California investors, or us California investors, not being in the metro itself, being able to see the property. They'll actually do a video inspection prior to a tenant moving in and repairs being done, and then after those repairs are completed with commentary. So it's almost like being there yourself, and you'll be able to see the before and after, of course, through those videos, so that your property is ready to take a tenant.
A couple of questions had come in regarding property management. I want to address those right away, so thank you for those questions. As far as properties managed, Red Door would be able to answer that, and Mike Taylor better. However, my experience, I think that they're at plus or minus 400 properties at this time. So not certainly a mom and pop shop, but also at a manageable amount where your asset is not one or a needle in a haystack. Another question came in, typical length of time for the eviction process. So Indianapolis is actually a very expeditious state in terms of the eviction process. It does have to go through the court system, so once in a while there'll be a couple of extra weeks in terms of getting that court date, but the bottom line is that you go to court, the tenant says, I didn't pay rent, if they even show up, and when the judge says, well, you didn't pay rent, you gotta go. Right? Then there's a set out if they don't move, but they generally give them, I don't know, 7 to 10 business days after that hearing for them to be out of there. So it's pay rent or move on. I found it to be in a very investor-friendly state in that regard.
One really key aspect, of course, in investing, like we had mentioned earlier, is financing. And at Marshall Reddick Real Estate, we have the best lender in the game. His name is Reed Hazard over at AmeriFirst Financial. Reed would be on the call tonight, but he actually had his baby boy today, born today. So we're all really excited for Reed. But a little bit about Reed, we've been working with him, as you see there, 15 years, licensed in all of our markets. Let me tell you, not all lenders are created equal. Reed is a direct lender. His underwriter is right there in the office with him. They're incredibly efficient, knowledgeable, and they take your calls on evenings and weekends, and I can't tell you how much real estate happens over the weekend, and you need a lender who is going to pick up your call and have those answers when you have questions.
Yeah, I mean, as Daniel said, it's right? The standard in the industry that I find today for a conventional lender is going to be someplace in the neighborhood of 30 to 45 days to close your loan, which is ridiculous, right? Reed has it dialed in, but he has it dialed in because he's worked with us, who are real estate investors ourselves, for years. So we're literally tracking and closing loans with Reed in 21 days. That is unprecedented in the conventional lending industry and something that you need as a part of your team. Don't forget, too, in that cool new tab on the website, you can connect directly with Reed through the Borrow tab or any other loan officer that is involved with Marshall Reddick. I'm going to jump a little bit more into the rent-ready system so that you guys all understand exactly how that works. And I want to, again, specifically state that in the rent-ready program, Marshall Reddick buys the properties and Marshall Reddick sells the properties. We take on the risk, right? Whereas if you're buying something wholesale, or you're buying something traditional third party, that's okay. You're obviously going to have your home inspection in either case, but at the end of the day, we're buying in this situation, we're renovating, we're stabilizing, getting in touch with property management. Red Door manages everything we do in the rent-ready system. Mike Taylor's super knowledgeable. If he says it's a good neighborhood, that's my green light to buy, right? If he says stay away, we stay away. Okay, so you benefit from our knowledge, relationship, and experience, and the system is controlled, right? This is something that's more hands-off. This is very good for first-time investors. More sophisticated investors might not be suited, right? But we have a little bit of something for everybody. When we're looking and targeting these rent-readies, we're definitely looking at single-family homes and not multi-units. It's got to be 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet. Garage is preferred, but not a deal breaker. No basement, again, that's preferred, but not a deal breaker. And we're targeting that $85,000 to $155,000 range. Never buying anything that's going to rent for less than $800. You'll read a lot about that in the Reddick property rating. Bottom line is, as the rents go down, so does the class of your tenant. And when your class of tenant goes down, the higher your maintenance and vacancy costs are. And those are direct expenses to your P&L as a real estate investor in your rental property business. If we can get 1%, everyone's heard or should have heard about the 1% range. If we can get the monthly rent to be 1% or greater of the resale price, we've done our job. And again, the major metrics that we're looking for in the Marshall Reddick pro forma, as you will find on the website, we need to be hitting $300 positive monthly income and a minimum of 10% annual return on investment. Had a couple questions come in. Do we deal in Section 8 in Indianapolis? Try to stay away from it, right? There's pros and cons to both sides of Section 8. I particularly haven't had a great experience, and we at Marshall Reddick are very much promoters of nice properties in nice neighborhoods with nice tenants. Generally speaking, Section 8 does not fit that mold. For reference, use the website. Here are 4 recent Marshall Reddick rent-ready sales. Check them out. See what they sold for. See what the numbers look like. Again, do your due diligence. Use the website.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patrick. One additional person that I'm going to introduce you to on the team today, Stan Dreckman over at Hugman's Dreckman Insurance. We've been working with Stan and his team for over 20 years. Stan, also incredibly knowledgeable, insures the investment properties for almost every Marshall Reddick client. Here's a picture of Stan right there. And actually, Stan writes the insurance policies for every single one of our Marshall Reddick rent-readies. He wrote the policy for one of the homes we're showing tonight over on Hayford. As you can see here, incredibly comprehensive coverage. And look at your annual premium, $675, monthly premium of $56. That is a testament to the low insurance cost in Indianapolis in general, meaning more of your income is going towards your cash flow, but also the incredibly reasonable rates of someone like Stan.
Yes, Stan. Guys you need on your team to be able to help you navigate insurance. When I was originally getting started as a real estate investor, I mean, I was buying property and I was going with the local like Allstate or State Farm, right? And what I noticed is that my insurance premiums were just like gradually going up every year, and I knew nothing about what was driving my premium. I worked for Marshall Reddick for going on my 16th year now, but when I built this relationship with Stan, I realized that he was willing to sit down and take the time with me to help me understand how it worked. So now I consider myself an insurance professional, right? And I know exactly what drives the premium, and I know what coverages are good and what are necessary and how to get the lowest price. But the bottom line is that Stan is that guy. So spend the time, speak with him, and see what he can offer you.
Incredibly useful data on our website. We do an incredible amount of research, and we provide it for free to our investors. You can see this is a market data packet. It'll go through information regarding the entire metropolitan area and what makes Indianapolis tick. And you can see the link specifically for the Indianapolis market data pack right there at the bottom of your screen. So again, just a little bit of recap. What makes Indianapolis a great market to invest? It's those metrics. It's that cash-on-cash return. It is getting the most passive income for your initial investment. But it's not just the numbers on paper. Those numbers have to be supported by the right market. And Indianapolis is a large growing population with the job market to support it.
And just to reiterate, it's about that relationship as well, right? We're focusing on numbers here and demographic information, but it's also about having those boots on the ground. So that's Christopher and Sarah, who are very knowledgeable and experienced agents that see eye to eye with Marshall Reddick and the values that we hold and how we expect them to deal with our investor base, because we work very hard at marketing and bringing the leads in, right? And we've done a good job about it, which is shown by the longevity of Marshall Reddick being around since 1979. So thank you to Christopher and Sarah for being that type of agent that will see eye to eye with us, because again, all real estate agents are not created equal. I'm going to let Sarah and Daniel get through the properties tonight, but I had a couple other questions come in. So we're talking about the rent ready and talking about targeting 1% of the rent to equal 1% of the disposition price. And specifically, the question is involved to what class of property is it that we're targeting in order to be able to hit that. And most of you out there would be surprised when we say that we're targeting A and B class properties, right? Because usually people that are promoting the 1% are generally promoting C class properties, because it's very difficult to hit that 1% number. But we work very hard to find the right properties, to get the highest rents in the best neighborhoods, and still sell them at an equity position to the Marshall Reddick client exclusively. We do not list these properties on the MLS. You're not competing with any other website. These are specifically for Marshall Reddick clients. Okay, so we're looking at A and B. Once in a while, we'll pepper in a C, but never anything that would be marginally low C or below. Hope that answers the question.
All right. So without further ado, we have some currently available great investment properties available for you right now. Sarah, are you with us?
I am. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll let you start us off with one of the properties that you and Christopher were able to showcase tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight I'm going to talk about a couple properties. The first one I have, you heard Christopher talk earlier about the two workhorse rental areas opposite each other, Lawrence Township to the east and Wayne Township on the west. I don't have any Lawrence Township properties to show this evening, but give me a call because I'd love to share more information with you about that area. I do have a Wayne Township property to share. Like I mentioned before, Wayne Township is the workhorse rental area on the west side of Indy. Blue collar workers are needed and they need to rent. There are lots of great tenants looking for homes in this area. While searching on the Marshall Reddick website, you'll also see a duplex in Wayne Township. The duplexes are strong rentals, but at a higher entry point. So the home that we're looking at on the screen now is 9135 Angel Tier Way. It's listed at $116,900, and it has been on the market for 1 day. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with just under 1,200 square feet, built in 2002. The estimated rent is $1,100, and this neighborhood has a solid rental history, with comparable homes renting steadily for the past 3 years at $1,100 to $1,200 a month. Their average days on market are 18 to 25. One thing that we look at when we're looking at properties to put onto the Marshall Reddick site are the days on market. The Indy market moves very quickly when homes are priced right. So this is a home that we don't look to have around for a long time here. If you have any questions
Sarah,
about this property.
That's so funny that you say that, because when you were sending properties to me earlier today, and I was looking into them and getting them prepared for the presentation, literally 2 others that you sent had already gone under contract. So for those folks that are out there listening, it may not necessarily be this property. Certainly, if you are interested, then you need to get on the phone with Sarah. But if it's not this property, you need to get yourself pre-qualified. You need to get yourself talking with Sarah, and she is going to headhunt the property for you that makes sense for what you're looking for.
Absolutely. So yeah, and I go on every morning and I check all the websites that I have access to and pull properties that look like they would be great fits for what the Marshall Reddick company is looking for. And I take those properties, put them on the site, and then I work with all the buyers from contract to close. I love this city, and I love the fact that I can share it with people and investors even on the West Coast.
Sarah, we had a question.
Yes.
Sorry, we had a question come in asking, do investors need to come visit you in the market to invest?
Okay. We'd love to see you, but you don't have to be here to buy a house. And Christopher loves when people come to visit so that he can take people out.
Yeah, Christopher's a hoot, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
Does that answer the
Awesome.
question?
Well, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for interjecting.
Excellent.
All right. Well, in contrast to a standard sale that you might see in Indianapolis, we talked a lot today about the Marshall Reddick Rent Ready program. Completely renovated property with a tenant in place, cash flowing from day one. Of course, you have the benefit of a tenant in place and it being renovated, reducing your maintenance and vacancy expenses, but you also don't have to pay an initial leasing fee. This was going to be our showcase property tonight, 6010 Hayford, but unfortunately, we received a very reasonable cash offer this morning on the property. I will say, if this is one that you're interested in, we are accepting backups. But one thing to note here is it really does fall in line with those metrics that Pat was discussing earlier. You'll notice the gross rent, the lease in place is at $13.25 a month for a property listed at $139.9. And you're seeing a monthly income after your fixed expenses of just over $400 a month, and an annual return on investment with appreciation and principal pay down factored in of over 15%.
Yeah, before we move on, I had a couple of questions coming in, talking specifically about the appreciation. So I wanted to point out that if you read the Reddick property rating, it will talk about how we assign that appreciation. So we showed earlier that 2.15% has been the historic average over the last 30 years. That would be assigned to an A-class property. Hayford, you'll notice there just under the photo to the left, it says 2.1. So that would be in line with the average over the long run. Whereas if you look at the previous property that we showed, you'll see here in that same box, this is 1.6% annual appreciation. This is a B-class property. So as the class decreases, so does the annual appreciation. because less nice properties in less nice neighborhoods don't appreciate as better properties in better areas. So I hope that that answers that question. I think someone asked whether this was a duplex. No, this is a single family home. So yeah, again, accepting backup offers if you'd like, but that one's gone.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. And just as a side note, I know you're being, especially if you're new to Marshall Reddick, introduced to a lot of aspects of how we evaluate specific properties. One of my roles as an advisor, and one of the things that I love doing most, is going through our calculators line by line and explaining them so that you're able to utilize them for every property we're evaluating. But on to the next Marshall Reddick Rent Ready this evening. This is 7722 Trophy Club, a turnkey property currently available through our program. And again, I just want to note, A-class property, market rent of $1,325 a month with a list price of $142.9. And again, you're seeing that monthly income of over $350 after your fixed expenses are paid, and an annual ROI of almost 14%.
And Sarah, I'd love for you to chime in. Sarah was kind enough. She went and walked this property for us earlier in the week, shot us some photos. And just to speak again, when buying a Rent Ready from Marshall Reddick, Christopher and Sarah as a team would be the buyer's agent representation, so that you as a Marshall Reddick client have independent representation separate from Marshall Reddick to keep that arm's length transaction, that they would be lobbying in your court with your home inspection, your appraisal, etc. But Sarah, if you could give us your thoughts on this property after your walkthrough, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very, very nice looking rental property. The area is good. It's also in the on the west side near Wayne Township. It's on the outside area of Wayne Township, but it's a good rental area, and the neighborhood is nice. I couldn't find anything to say, hey, this needs done, this needs fixed. It's a great property.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. And again, so appreciate all of your efforts in terms of looking at the properties, handling Marshall Reddick clients. You're doing a great job. Moving on here, in terms of Rent Ready properties that you'll find on the Marshall Reddick website, it's all about transparency for us, right? So you will always find price comparables on the Reddick website. Certainly you're welcome to find your own, but we're getting our price comparables from the Jones team. So earlier in the week, Christopher and I were chatting about this property on Trophy Club, and he provided me a CMA, and I took the time to upload those to the website. So you're looking at a screen clip here, and you can obviously see this property here at 7618 Trophy Club right down the street. It's now under contract, right? The website said for sale, but it is under contract pending right now. And just wanted to point out, driving it down to the price per square foot. So I think we're very in line in terms of our offer price, but certainly these prices are not set in stone, right? There's always room for negotiation. We may say no, and we're certainly going to have a ton of activity following marketing events like this, but if it's a reasonable offer, if it's a solid offer, just like as the one on Hayford, we're willing to play ball. So consider that when working with Sarah and Christopher and evaluating properties like this.
Yeah, last Marshall Reddick Rent Ready that we're showcasing tonight, 30 North Musing, and this is going to be attractive for some of you investors looking for a little lower price point. These go very quickly at this price point, as you can see there at $112.9. And take a look at the gross rent, $125 a month. You know, just under $400 in monthly income, an annual ROI of over 13%. And one benefit just to keep in mind for our Marshall Reddick turnkey properties is that with a full price offer, remember that the comps that we're providing support, you are receiving $1,000 back in closing costs, a home warranty and a tenant in place as well.
Yeah, the tenant in place is important, right? Because we showed the red door property management fees, and you've got that 60% leasing fee, right? That would be covered by Marshall Reddick because we owned it when we put a tenant in there. So when you buy it, you don't have that. You've got a tenant in place. You collect cash flow from day one. So this particular property is on the opposite side of the one we just saw on Trophy Club. This is going to be on the east side, out in the Cumberland area. It is an older home, but it's going through a complete makeover, right? That in terms of electrical, plumbing, roof, flooring, siding, you name it, it's getting it. Not available yet, but if something like this interests you, you need to be in touch with Daniel. He will have the inside track. Sarah, tell us about this one.
All right. This property, we talked a little bit about Lawrence Township, and this one is not in Lawrence Township, but it is just a little further east of that workhorse area. It's in the town of Ingalls. Ingalls, it has the quiet small town feel while still being very close to the interstate, metropolitan Indianapolis, and the Fishers and Noblesville areas. It's a great school system. It's located at 10898 Grace Drive. It's listed at $125,900. It has been on the market for 29 days, and it just recently had a price reduction. Has 1,252 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, newer appliances, refreshed paint and floor coverings, and the washer and dryer are also included. This area has proven rent records of $1,100 to $1,200 a month, and they've been consistent over the last couple of years. Average rental days on the market are 30 to 40, and I would love to talk to you more about this property and about the Ingalls, Lawrence Township area. Something else I wanted to mention is that we have a list of inspectors, contractors, anything that you need to get you from your contract to closing that our customers have referred to us because they had great service, and we would love to be able to share those with you as well. On a little last note here, and I don't have it up on the site because it is a new fresh listing over in that Hamilton Southeastern School District that Christopher touched on earlier. We did just have a great opportunity under 200,000 come available. Those don't come on very often, and they don't stay very long. So I would love to be able to speak with you about that as well. Give me a call with any questions about the properties that we talked about this evening, or just the Indy market in general. I would love to help you out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Really looking forward to working further with you and Christopher and our clients, talk about these properties tonight, the webinar, all of the information shared.
I have a couple of questions. I'm going to answer these, and we're going to get to that last poll, Daniel. I had a question coming about, is there a garage? I think that question was directed towards the Musing property that's on the east side around Cumberland. Yes, there is a detached one-car garage. It's an extended one-car garage, but I hope that's the question that you answered about. We certainly are seeking properties with garages in our rent-ready package. I had another question come in that says, do we sell packages? And specifically, they're talking about multiple properties, like in a package for a discount. We don't do a lot of that. Certainly, if it made sense, we would entertain it. And there's obviously an economies of scale there, right? So if we could move several properties, we would be happy to provide some preferential pricing for the right deal. Thank you for those questions.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up here with our second and last poll question. Second poll question is, which property shown appeals?
Appreciate everyone getting your vote in. Love that crowd participation. Just gonna give a couple more seconds, so please do us a favor. We're going to publish those results in a second. Thank you again very much for being with us tonight. I know I certainly appreciate everyone's time, especially in the evening on a Wednesday, but it's hump day. The weekend is on the horizon. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the poll. And then we will publish the results. So we had a good mix. That's awesome. So a lot of interest in that Hayford property. Again, if you want to have a backup offer, that's awesome. But we did have a cash offer accepted just this morning. But some good activity there on the Grace property as well. So I know that Sarah and Daniel are going to be on the phones heavily following up with all of you. So do expect a call.
Absolutely. Again, want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you taking time, like Pat said. Myself, Sarah, Christopher, Patrick, really would love to work with you, share more about the market, the properties available. Like Pat said, I'll be reaching out tomorrow and Friday to everyone, but feel free to reach out directly to me. We'll get an initial call scheduled. We'll talk more and we'll get you introduced to all the right people. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Yep, thanks very much.
Thank you. Have a great night. Christopher's waving.